You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the April 22nd meeting for the Michigan City Economic Development Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
I'll call to order this Michigan City Economic Development Commission. This is our annual organization meeting and a meeting for Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. The local time is 4 p.m. and we are in council chambers. Our first order of business tonight is the is roll call. So call the roll. Miss Tracy Tillman.
Present.
Mr. Christopher Willoughby.
Present.
And Mr. Mark Yagelski. Is absent. Our first order of business is election of officers. And right now I'll open it up for nominations for president.
I nominate Ms. Tillman for president.
Okay. Are there any other elections? Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Ms. Tillman, are you willing to serve?
I'll take a axe at it. Of
Okay.
course.
She did a great job last year.
Great. All those in favor, with that, I'll close nominations. Do I need to do a roll call? Or just say all those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Okay. Tracy, I'm going to move over there and have you come here.
Okay. Okay.
Vice President, Secretary.
Okay, I would like to thank the board for that nomination to serve as the chair president. And so to move forward on the agenda, I would like to open nominations up for vice president. Are there any nominations for?
I would probably for a bit of strategy, unless Mr. Yagelski shows up, I would nominate Mr. Yagelski for vice president. So that if he does not, potentially I could serve in the role as secretary to provide the appropriate attestation.
Do anyone oppose to that at this time? To accept Mr. Mark Yagelski as vice president? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There are none. With the acceptance of Mr. Mark Yagelski serving as vice president, unless we hear differently from Mr. Yagelski. Next, I would like to open up the nominations for a secretary. I'd like to make a nomination for Mr. Willoughby to serve as secretary.
I accept that nomination.
Are there any other nominations? There are none. All those in favor for Mr. Chris Willoughby as secretary? All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There are none. And thank you, Mr. Willoughby, as our 2025 secretary for this board. Next, we have approval of the minutes, February 15, 2024. Are there any corrections or anything that needs to be redacted from the minutes? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion.
I make that motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Willoughby. I'll second that. The approval of the minutes for February 15, 2024 has been approved. Next, we have our first resolution 01-2025, the Michigan City Economic Development Commission approving and authorizing certain actions and proceedings with respect to certain proposed economic development revenue bonds, recommending the establishment of an economic development target area in the city of Michigan City, Indiana, and all matters related thereto. See attached the notice of public hearing for additional information. I would like to ask if Randy could please come up and I'm sorry. If Mr. Randy Rampala could speak to address the resolution at this time, please. You're muted, sir. Okay, there
Okay.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yep. So this is Randy Rampola from Barnes and Thornburg. We're assisting the City and the Economic Development Commission on the transaction. So what is before you is a resolution that authorizes 3 separate series of bonds that correspond to the developer Tryon Meadow LLC. They're proposing 3 series of projects, if you will. 2 of them are commercial apartment projects, and 1 is a residential and townhome project. And the Redevelopment Commission has acted to adopt a declaratory resolution that would establish the Tryon Meadows development area, and within that development area, they acted to designate 3 separate allocation areas that correspond to the 3 projects. And so what would happen then is upon completion of that process, the Redevelopment Commission would act to pledge the TIF revenues that would be received from each of the projects and that are located in each of the allocation areas. They would be pledged to the bond issues that would be issued by the city for the Tryon Meadows development. And this is the first step in the bonding process. So the commission took action to start the declaratory process, and this would be the first action by the EDC to provide for the issuance of the bonds. Both processes have to go through the Common Council. So with your action tonight, you would hold a public hearing and consider for adoption this resolution that would open process to provide for the years that would allow for each of the phases of the development to continue. So the bond issue, each of the 2 bond issues, and it's laid out in the whereas clauses in the 3 series that would be issued. And in the numbered paragraphs, when you get to section 5, which is on page 4, Series A would be issued in an amount not to exceed 3.2 million, as would Series B. Each of those series would have a term not to exceed 25 years and an interest rate not to exceed 9.5%. The third series would have Series C, which is referenced on page 5 in section 7, would have a not to exceed of 9.5 million, and it would have a term of not to exceed 20 years. And the reason why the first 2 series are 25 years and the third is 20, that's just a difference in the statute in terms of the TIF that can be generated from the projects. The 2 commercial projects, the apartment complex buildings, can be TIFed for 25 years. The residential and the townhomes can only be TIFed for 20 years. The interest rate at 9.5%, that's a high side interest rate. But it just provides for where interest rates could possibly be. Hopefully they're not, but because each series of bonds, it'll be a period of years before the series are issued, because the developer will complete the project in 3 phases. So with your action tonight, you would be approving also in the resolution a designation of a target area, which is a kind of an arcane provision in the statute that allows the city to designate an economic development target area, and that is what allows the TIF in the residential area to be captured. So you would be taking the first action on that as well. That's referenced in section 9 of the resolution. And the next step in that process as well would be an adoption of an ordinance by the council to authorize that designation to be approved as well. So with this resolution, you would be authorizing the 3 series of bonds. You would be approving the form of the financing agreement and the trust indenture that would go along with that issue, with each of the issues as well. And I think Skylar has copies of those forms of documents. You would be approving of the target area designation. And then finally, there's an economic development report that is before you for approval as well. And that just simply lays out the jobs that are expected to be created from these projects. And most of the jobs are temporary construction jobs because they're residential spaces, not necessarily like commercial or manufacturing. And so the total investment in the report is listed at $51 million. That would be if each of the 3 phases, all of the 3 phases are done, the total investment would be $51 million. The project payroll for projects 1 and 2 are approximately 5.4 and 5.6 respectively $million. And then for project 3, it's estimated to be about $10 million and creating about 120 construction jobs. I should have mentioned the first 2 phases. I think it's 80 and 83 are the expected temporary construction jobs that'll be created. So you would be approving that report tonight as well, along with the adoption of the resolution. So that's a lot of information, but it is a process that many communities in Indiana are using to spur residential development. The General Assembly added residential TIF to the statute, I think back in 2019, 2020, and they have made some amendments to it a couple of years ago to make it a little bit easier to get them approved. And that's what the Redevelopment Commission is doing. And so what has happened is developers are asking commissions to economic development commissions in cities to pledge or to use the pledge of the TIF to pay debt service on bonds. And these bonds would be purchased by the developer. So and I should say finally that there is no risk or exposure to the city from the issuance of these bonds or the pledge of those TIF revenues because they're economic development revenue bonds. In the event that the developer doesn't pay its taxes, the TIF is not generated and the city wouldn't be obligated to make a payment on any of the debt from any other source other than from those TIF revenues. So it would have no effect on the credit rating of the city if the developer stopped midstream, for example. If they started phase 1 and never completed it, the city wouldn't be on the hook for that bond issue. It would be the developer that would be responsible for it. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I would like to open this up for public comments. Please keep in mind, public comments are limited to just 3 minutes, and they are only in regards to the resolution that is before you at this time. Are there any comments from the public? Are there any comments from the public? Any comments from the public?
I'd be remiss. Scott Mellon, 200 Kenwood Place. This is unique financing, and in hearing the details of it over time, I'm really impressed that the city can facilitate this in such a way that there's no exposure to city residents, and we're fostering this development. So from this person's perspective, it seems like a pretty good thing to move forward with, and I hope we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mallard. Public comments?
Paul Presbolinski, 1716 Washington Street. Mr. Is it Randy Rapallo? Or no, Rapallo?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I got that wrong, Randy.
No worries.
It said that it was not a have anything to the city to be held liable for these bonds, that the developer would be held liable for these bonds. Then can I ask that in one of these documents, it talks about using the city as, the city's, not principal, but the city's investment and the bonds that the obligation that any okay, I'm looking at the I'm sorry, I'm looking at the not the resolution, but the Michigan City Economic Development well, I guess this is the public hearing. I'm sorry, but it says that the let me get to the any indebtedness or general obligation of the city, state of Indiana, or any political subdivision. Is this paragraph saying that the city has some indebtedness and obligation on these bonds, and you just said we don't?
So if I can answer, I'm not sure which paragraph you're reading, but the fact that they're being issued under Indiana Code 36712 means that they're economic development revenue bonds, and the city would have no exposure with respect to those bonds. The only obligation the city would have would be to apply the TIF revenues that the Redevelopment Commission has pledged, and those TIF revenues come directly from the developer paying the income taxes on the project. So if the developer doesn't pay its taxes, or if the property isn't assessed the way the developer thinks it'll be assessed, meaning the assessed value isn't high enough to generate the taxes, the city's not obligated to make any payments on those bonds at all. Like I said, I'm not sure which paragraph you're reading, but it's not these bonds are not a general obligation of the city, and they're not an indebtedness of the city. They're solely payable from the revenues that would be set aside by the Redevelopment Commission, which would be only the TIF revenues from this project. So the Redevelopment Commission wouldn't use any TIF revenues from any other project other than the Tryon Meadows allocation areas. And the three that are set out in the resolution, allocation areas 1, 2, and 3. So I don't know if that helps answer the question, but there's no obligation.
Okay, and so is it an obligation to the Redevelopment Commission?
It is not, because the only thing the Redevelopment Commission, the only obligation the commission has is to take the TIF revenues that Tryon Meadows generates and pay them over to the bond trustee for these bonds. So it's not a true obligation of the commission. It's not a debt of the commission either, because only the TIF revenues from Tryon Meadows will be used to pay the bonds that are being purchased by Tryon Meadows. There's no obligation of the commission to use any other monies, and again, no monies of the city would be used, but the only commission monies that would be used would be Tryon Meadows. And if the Tryon Meadows money is short, then the bond holder, which in this case would be the developer or the developer's bank, they simply wouldn't be paid. And part of the role that reason why I'm involved is to make sure that the documents say, in fact, that there's no obligation on the part of the city or the Redevelopment Commission to use any revenues other than the TIF that would be generated from Tryon Meadows.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you. Public comments are now closed. Are there any comments from the commission?
Me.
Madam President, would you like to hear from the developer or anything of that nature? He's here. It's your call. I'm just asking.
I would say yes, if you'd just like to touch bases, John, just a little bit on this, just to reiterate from prior discussions that we've had.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for having me here. Very excited to be moving along our timeline as scheduled and as planned. Kind of like Randy mentioned, this is one of several steps to get the bonds issued and the TIF allocation areas created. And on our end, we've we started this process. We're not new to this process. And neither is the city. We started this probably a year ago, the concept, and we've worked through many different plans with the city, and we've gone through several bodies, including the Planning Commission, who will go. I will be here again tonight in front of the Planning Commission and Council, Redevelopment Commission. So we've received approvals from on our drainage plan. We've spoken to several city bodies, including the engineer, the water department, about working hand in hand to ensure the project is phased correctly and meets their standards. I think that's kind of the update on my end. We've just been doing everything we can to be as prepared as possible, and we would expect to start site work towards the end of the summer if everything goes on track. So we're very excited.
Awesome,
Yeah.
thank you. Due to that public comment, did the council have any questions for John? There are none. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I would like to entertain a motion on Resolution 01-2025 of the Michigan City Economic Development Commission approving and authorizing certain actions and proceedings with respect to certain proposed economic development revenue bonds, recommending the establishment of any economic development target area in the city of Michigan City, Indiana, and all matters related thereto.
I make that motion to approve.
There is a motion by Mr. Willoughby, and I'll second that by Ms. Tillman. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There are none. This resolution has passed. Moving on our agenda to general discussion. Oh. Oh. Okay. And next we have the addendum, one, approving of report of the Michigan City Economic Development Commissions concerning the proposed finance of economic development facilities for Trian Metals LLC. I'd like to entertain a motion on the first one.
I make a motion to approve the report.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There are none. The approval of the report has been approved. Number two, approval of financial and loan agreement between Trian Metals LLC and the City of Michigan City. May I entertain a motion?
I have a question.
Yes.
We're approving these as to form, correct? Yes, okay. I make the motion to approve the form of financing and loan agreement.
I'll second that. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There are none. The approval of the finance and loan agreement between Trian Metals LLC and City of Michigan City is approved. And third, the approval of trust indenture. May I entertain a motion?
I make a motion to approve as to form the trust indenture.
There has been a motion by Mr. Willoughby, and I will second that. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are anyone opposed? There are none, and the approval of the form of the trust indenture has been approved. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. So that was those three. Next. We're here.
Yes.
And next on the agenda, we will go to the general discussion.
I have no discussion unless you guys do.
Nothing further from me.
I guess my general discussion is just we are really excited about this project. It still has a few more steps it has to go. Tonight at Plan Commission, the resolution was passed at the last RDC meeting, Redevelopment Commission meeting, to actually it was to start to define the TIF area and the allocation area. It's the declaratory resolution that will be going to planning commission tonight. If approved by plan commission, it would then go to our council and then from council come back to redevelopment commission for the basically enacting creating the TIF area, the allocation area. And that's how kind of all this folds together, if you will. But there's still a few more steps that have to be taken, both at plan commission level and at the council level as well, to get everything folded together. So still has a little ways to go, but we appreciate John, and John's right. We've been working about a year on this. It's went through a lot of iterations, a lot of drainage review. It has a really favorable, drainage review right now. I think Gal's already signed off on it. And then it's broken into 3 different phases. It also has a primary plat that goes along with the rezoning that is in the council's hands right now. And then hopefully everything I think we've got all the pieces lined up in order. So.
Thank you, Skylar. If there's no more general discussion, I'd like to open this up for public comment. Public comments are 3 minutes.
Hello, board. Scott Melanturn, Kenwood Place. Could we review how much this bond is?
So it's in 3 series and 3 series.
Series.
Yeah, 3 series. Let me get to that real quick. I want to tell you correctly.
Section 7, page.
Bonds, 1 series. Believe the bond is 9.5 million. John, I'm looking at you. When it's all said and done, not to exceed.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
That's around that figure. That's
Yeah,
correct,
9.5
And
million.
again, that's not an obligation from the city. That's basically, reimbursed to us as property taxes get collected. So it's not like the city is issuing a bond under its credit rating.
Correct.
It's not like a risk. It's not like an increased credit risk.
But it's also related to the different phases. There's 3 different phases.
It is complicated,
Yeah.
but the city through being a municipality allows this form of financing.
Yes.
And the next question would be, the private investment total for this project is on the order, or did I hear $50 million?
Yeah, that's like the
John.
cost of the project. Do you want me to come
Yeah,
up?
come on up. Just so we're getting everything into, I know he's probably going to kind of start looking at me.
So
Yeah.
our $9.5 million bond
Leverages.
authority is leveraging how much private investment?
Or over 50 million, yeah.
I think
And that's just the cost of the project at full investment. We're not even talking about the ripple effects to the local economy.
right, direct
So it's a
investment.
very asymmetric bet for the city, you could say.
Again, I'm trying to bring out positive points.
Yeah.
For people to realize that, one, this is essentially at no risk to the city taxpayers. It's self-funding and it's unleashing 200 housing units or 199.
Yeah.
Untold construction jobs, 100, 200 construction jobs for a period of 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And incentive and builds our housing and tax base. And one final question, since these are essentially infrastructure bonds to help with the roadways, sewer and water. Those are being built, as I understand it, to our specifications as specified by our city engineer.
Yeah.
They have to be.
Because these will become municipal assets
Yes.
at the end of whatever period.
Yeah. Once
Yeah.
they're dedicated. Yeah. Once we built in phases, but once we take owner, yes. The answer is yes.
Again, I'm just here to try to point out for the public, the positive impact that these sort of meetings lead to. And again, we thank the developer for coming to Michigan City and bringing this development.
I appreciate that because it's like the gentleman said, it's not easy to understand all this stuff. I think there's a lot of moving pieces, but that's why I think it requires not only the support of people at the city, but the community. And I'm very encouraged by the support we've received from the community. The city needs a project like this, and the project like this, like we just highlighted, will create a huge amount of investment both direct and indirect in the city. So we're very excited, and I really appreciate the community support. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, John, again. And again, last public comment. Last public comment. Public comments are now closed. Any comments from the commission? There are none, and there's no one online. Yes.
Just one more thing, Scott, to your point about what we're actually leveraging here in comparison if a city was not involved at all. We were also allowing, or I guess requiring, part of this development to include market rate housing in addition. So it's, and if we had not put the money in, we'd have no say so, and the developer could do, make it all whatever he wanted to make it. So again, that's just another advantage, both in terms of the benefits to the city from an overall project, but also in terms of addressing a particular housing need that we also have. So just pointing that out.
Okay. Thank you. If there are no more comments at this time, may I entertain a motion to adjourn?
I will make that motion as well.
Support. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.